Hey everyone, it is Moonsalt Stables and I am back already with another video. I'm hoping to be able to get at least a video or two out every single month. So this month I do want to start off with some things that I hear commonly thrown around. A lot of new hobbyists have questions about abbreviations, things like that, things that they might see in live show packets, anything like that. A lot of these terms like OF, CM, AR, RR, SR, you might just be thinking, what do those mean? So I do kind of want to go over some common ones that you see in the hobby. Now, granted, I'm not going to be touching on every single abbreviation you'll see. I'm not going to touch on breeds, anything like that, like TWH is usually Tennessee walking horse, things like that. But I just want to touch on some basic hobby ones. So the first one I want to touch on is going to be OF. That is going to be original finish. This is any model that comes straight from the factory, whether that be Breyer or Stone, Schleich, Collecta, anything like that. Any of them that come direct from the factory, haven't been altered. All of these horses that you see right here, these are all going to be original finish models. Nothing has been changed on them. You can buy these directly from Breyer, whether that be at a store or from Breyerfest, things like that. That is going to be original finish. Now, if you have a horse that you have repainted, that is often referred to as CM or custom or customized, anything like that. That is going to be a model that once came from Breyer or Stone, anything like that, but has been repainted. This girl is a good example of that. She is a repainted, a stablemate Tennessee walking horse. This is a color that you cannot get directly from Breyer. This is one that I painted myself. I just airbrushed her. That is a good example of custom. These are ones that, again, you can repaint them, or they're ones that maybe you've resculpted a mane or you've just resculpted a leg, things like that. You've moved them around in some way. You've changed them from the factory. That is going to be a definition of custom. Now, say if you have a model that didn't come from a factory of some sort. It didn't come from Breyer or Stone, Schleich, Collecta, what have you on that one. Oftentimes, these ones are going to be artist resins, that, or AR as they're often known in the showing world. AR is artist resin, like I said. These are going to be original sculptures from artists. They will sculpt these and send them out unpainted like this. This is an example of an unpainted resin. Or sometimes you can buy them painted, or once you get them unpainted, you can paint them. This is a painted micro mini resin by Maggie Bennett. Oh yes, this one here is Sarah Rose tiny resin. He has been sitting just unpainted on my shelves for years. Eventually I'll paint him. But this is a micro mini jewel by Maggie Bennett. I have painted her. She is a painted artist resin. You cannot get this mold at all from Breyer, Peter Stone, any of those. You do get this mold directly from the artist or whoever happens to be molding them for the artist. Sometimes you'll get ones like from Resins by Randy, things like that. These ones often are very low numbers as well, sometimes in the hundreds. Every once in a while you'll find artists that will have an open edition, which just means they make multiple molds, and sometimes there might be a couple thousand of them, but never to the same degree as an original finish model that has thousands and thousands of models usually made, especially regular run models, like say this girl right here. She's a regular one. She probably had thousands of her made, whereas this one maybe only 300 or 400. I don't know if any numbers have been released on her, but that's probably a good estimate on how many were made of the original sculpture, and people just will repaint them as they desire. And then up next, these are ones that I do not have in my collection, but I did want to touch on them because you might see them often. One is going to be CMG, or custom glaze. This is in reference to China ceramic models. These are ones where somebody has taken a ceramic model horse and they've customized it or repainted it to their liking. I'm not very knowledgeable about China horses, so I'm not the best one to ask about those, but I know there are several collectors that love China models and have gorgeous collections of them. Another one you'll see a lot is, a lot of times these refer to OF models. This is going to be OOAK or one of a kind. These ones often refer to models like, you'll see a lot of the BreyerFest live auction models. These are models that only one has ever been or ever will be made. Now the color might be reproduced, things like that, or things might slightly change in reproduction. But the original model, that original OOAK model, there will only be one ever made, and they're usually gorgeous. They're usually painted at the Breyer factory in New Jersey. Things like that. You'll also see them at Stone as well. It's a lot more common with Stone. Stone models are, a lot of times you'll see them advertised as OOAK. They're not quite as rare as Breyer OOAK. The Breyer one of a kind you'll see selling for thousands and thousands of dollars. Whereas just because Breyer usually only makes about, I'm drawing a blank on how many lots they usually have, but usually they only do about 50 a year, probably tops. Whereas Stone might have hundreds of one-of-a-kinds per year. And then another one that also is in reference to Stone, these are FCM or factory customs. These are still original finish models, but the factory has customized their plastic, so they might have different manes and tails, or a horse might be a stallion instead of a mare, or vice versa. Things like that. Those are going to be factory custom models. Again, oftentimes done by Stone. I'm not aware if any other company does that. I'll see if I can maybe throw up a picture here possibly, but I do not have any factory custom models, but they are very, very pretty and very well done most often. All right. Away from the stones and models I don't have, these are going to be in reference to the run of the model or the edition size, things like that. Ones that you'll see it often as well. The first one being RR. RR is in reference to a regular run model. Now, regular runs, a good example of that is going to be S Just a Dream. She was a regular run model. You could see her in the Breyer catalog, and you could buy her from anywhere that sold Breyer horses. That is the best definition of a regular run, is something that not only you can see in the Breyer catalog, but you can buy from anywhere that sells these horses. You don't have to just get it through Breyer or just get it at BreyerFest, things like that. You can get it at just a regular old Breyer dealer. You could get her anywhere. She probably had thousands of her made. She didn't have a set run number. Oftentimes, regular runs will be available for a few years, usually 2, 3, even more years at a time. I believe S Just a Dream was available for a more limited amount of time, but she was still considered a regular run. Now, another one that is still often shown in Breyer catalogs, but they might be available for a short amount of time, a defined period of usually maybe a year, things like that, or just certain number might have been made. These are going to be LE or limited edition. This is Chubasco. Goodness, he's so tall. This is Chubasco from 2006. He was in the set with Chubasco and Caravel. They were only available in 2006, and in the Breyer catalog that was notated as well. They were going to be a limited edition for that year only. So you could only order them from Breyer from January 1st of 2006 to December 31st of 2006. You could not order them later or earlier than that. That was the only time you could get them. You could still obtain them in Breyer dealers, things like that. If they happen to have them in 2007 or whatever, you could probably still get them at that time, but they were only available directly to order from Breyer within the year 2006. Another example is, sadly they don't do this anymore because I loved the collector choice editions. That was going to be like this girl right here, Uncalled For. She was only available, I believe, the spring of either 2005 or 2006. I'm drawing a blank on the exact year, but she was only available for 6 months. Now you could buy her anywhere from Breyer dealers, anything like that, but she was only actually available. Breyer only made her for 6 months. They wouldn't make her longer than that or shorter than that, but she is still just a limited edition. Now another one that is kind of like limited editions, but just a teeny bit different. These are going to be SRs, or special runs. This is something that you hear quite often in reference to Breyer Fest, Breyer West, the tour events, things like that. So these are models that are not available from the Breyer catalog. You typically cannot order them. The average person cannot order them directly from Breyer or at a Breyer store. A lot of times you either need to be a special member to a club, like nowadays we have the Collector Club, and they have their web specials where you enter for a web special and you're eligible to win that. That is a special run. Another one is going to be the Breyer Fest special runs, where you have to be at Breyer Fest to get these models. This one is an example of a Breyer Fest special run. She was the CC Shuffle model from 2013. She was a surprise model, but she was only directly available at Breyer Fest. You could not buy her in Breyer stores or anything like that unless it was an aftermarket sale, but that's a totally different thing. But you could get her just at Breyer Fest. You get the same thing with a lot of brick and mortar specials. You probably saw my video a while back on Marcus, the flagship dealer horse. He was only available at certain Breyer retailers. Every single store did not carry him. He was only available at special stores. That's probably the best example I can give for those special runs. They are often available, but they can only be purchased by certain people or at certain places. And now we'll kind of get into these last couple abbreviations here. These are going to be a little bit more subjective terms. One of them being LSQ, or live show quality. Personally, I hate the term LSQ. It's such a subjective term that a horse that I might consider LSQ might be just totally awful to somebody else. A lot of times people will use the term LSQ to go hand in hand with like mint or flawless, things like that. That should not happen, because you'll get a horse that say we have my Freedom Fire here, or That's Just a Dream. By all points, she's flawless. She has no flaws on her. Her paint is perfect. She's got no weird masking. Her overspray is non-existent. Things like that. So by a quality standpoint, sadly, you get a lot of people referring to her as LSQ. But that is not what that means. LSQ, by the general definition of it and the most accepted definition of LSQ, is a horse that regularly places at model horse shows. Good example of that is, we'll go back to my Chubasco here. He regularly places. He often gets a ribbon every time he shows. I think there's maybe been one show where he hasn't gotten a ribbon. So by all means, I would totally refer to him as live show quality. Now, this does not mean that he is flawless, though, because on his other side here, let's see if I can show you. That right there, he's got some overspray, things like that. My camera's not focusing, but he does have overspray. I think he's got a shiny mark or two somewhere on him. I'm not sure where, but he is still LSQ because he does often place. Now that is going to be different from LSP, or live show placed. Live show quality refers to a horse that often places or places high, things like that. They're winning champions. Whereas LSP might be a horse that has won a ribbon maybe once or twice, might uncalled for, is an example of that one. She's a beautiful model, but she's only placed once. She hasn't placed since then, so I would not refer to her as live show quality just because she's only placed once. I would instead refer to her as live show placed. And then another one along that same kind of vein of, wow, words are hard. And then another term we have is going to be PSQ, or photo show quality. This does not necessarily refer to the amount of times a horse has placed or not at photo shows. A lot of times photo show quality is in reference to a horse that might be perfect on one side. Like, for example, let's say Chubasco's perfect on his show side. Let's say he's beautiful in photos, but then if I turn him around, say he had a giant scratch or a big blotch of something on him, that clearly wouldn't fly at a live show because it's something that can be seen when the judge goes to the other side of the table. Now, from this side, the judge might not see that, but when the judge goes to the other side, they'll see exactly what's on that side. Whereas in a photo show, you wouldn't see that. So a lot of times you'll see ads referring to them as photo show quality, meaning one side's perfect, but the other side not so much. So those are some of the best ones that I can think of as far as terms. Hopefully you can't hear my cat just crying outside the door. She wants to be in here so bad. I'll add in a clip of her sitting on this table as I was getting ready to film. But but anyways, that was that. If you have any questions about any other abbreviations that you've seen, abbreviations, terms, anything like that that you're confused on, leave a comment below and I'll see if I can answer it for you. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'm hoping to be uploading some more soon, and you'll have a bunch more live showing tips and things like that. So thank you so much, you guys, and I will see y'all in my next video.